Yep. Welcome to the show, Vision India Forum, Amrit Kal series. Dr. Professor D.P Agarwal ji, former chairman of the Union Public Service Commission, a very key institution which decides the fate of how India is going to be governed and how India's destiny will unfold in the hands of young people who join as IAS, IPS, and other various A-grade officers in the central government of India. And in the union government, the examinations are conducted for those recruitments through UPSC, an organization which was formalized after independence, and it gained importance with every passing year. And today, as it stands, we are in the midst of an inflection point as far as the growth story of India is concerned, and the bureaucrats who are appointed and who are selected, recruited, and appointed by this Union Public Service Commission are, if I may say so, inextricably linked to the growth story, which we all Indians, we all Bharatiyas, very, expectantly look forward to, because it's a huge nation. It's a very populous nation. It's a democracy. The challenges are unparalleled compared to any other nation probably in the world. China could be close, but again, China is not a democracy. India is a democracy. And why I stress upon this point is, this is a year, 2024, is a year which is going to mark elections in a lot of countries across the world, including one of our very key neighbors, that is Bangladesh. And we all know how difficult it is to maintain, any kind of sanity in a democracy, especially when it comes to the power struggles. Henceforth, India, with now crossing China last year as the world's most populous country, the challenges have grown manifold. And with the kind of development agenda that the Prime Minister has been driving over the last 10 years, in the stable government that India has been blessed with, and hopefully India gets a very stable government in the Lok Sabha elections due in April-May this year again. And once that happens, we will be sure that we are going to be skyrocketing into another hemisphere, unlike in the last few decades, wherein the progress was slow, but they slowly picked up post-liberalization. And last year was a magnanimous year with some successes which will go down in history as India's year. Especially, we can all remember the landing on the moon and those kind of, the reservation quota for the women in the parliament, etc., etc. The UPSC, the nuances of this examination, the challenges, the drawbacks, the lacuna, areas of improvement. And does a democracy like India, need something more than a UPSC? Or what does UPSC need from the government so that the scope and canvas increases and it aligns with the need of the hour, wherein lateral recruitment, so many things are happening now because there's a dearth of skilled manpower from a bureaucracy perspective. Dr. Agarwal will take us through the entire gamut of issues. And I hand it over to you to take us through UPSC's, challenges, the bandwidth, the scope, and the future, considering India, as I said, is in an inflection mode as far as growth from all aspects is concerned. Over to you. Agarwalji, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Indeed, it's a great pleasure to be discussing a very crucial subject of contribution of Union Public Service Commission to provide quality manpower to support the vision of building a nation into the next decade. Let's not forget that contributions of bureaucrats since the days of freedom has been immense. They have been the lifeline, and they have been the continuity on which the policy have been made, which has enabled us to reach a stage from where we can jump off. So my hats off to people whom we selected and who delivered on the field. For any nation, that to be a democratic nation, it is important that all the manpower which support the policymakers in implementing and decision making are selected unbiasedly without fear and favor, and that the powers to be are not in the game of selecting them, but to use them for building the policy frame for the benefit of the nation. Therefore, the founding fathers of this country, through Constitution Articles 215 onward, have decided to create a separate entity which will select manpower for Government of India, and through the same constitutional provision, it will apply for the states, because India being a union states. Therefore, let's appreciate the desire of the constitution makers and the country, that they always wanted good people to be selected, honest people to be selected, without any bias, without any favor, whether of color, caste, creed, or any region. Country being multidimensional, multicultural, required people who can appreciate this aspect, and the manpower consists of not from one place, but from almost all places. And I would say, therefore, the Commission first rule has been to ensure that an appropriate number of people, the quality people, become part of Government of India's manpower at different levels. So that objective met over a number of years. I can say with that confidence. Commission every year select through two mechanisms the manpower for the country. One, that we conduct number of tests, about 10 or 12 per year, for different positions, whether it be engineers or doctors, statistician, or some others. But the flagship program remains selecting civil servants for 20 to 20 ministries through a common test called Civil Service Competitive Examination. This examination has, over the years, attracted the imagination of the people, and people believe that this is the only examination through which only the best and the honest can be selected. The belief among youth that the commission is not affected by any party politics, that commission only looks at the quality of people on the parameters is laid down, and that if somebody meets those parameters, they are sure that they would be selected. There would never ever be a chance where somebody could say there was a biasing against him, her, or anybody else in the system. And I would say it's a second victory of the commission to create that kind of faith among youth of people, when many organizations have under clouds. This is one organization under all odds. In the history of it has never happened that it has selected people with any favor.
Sir, can I intercept? Sir, can I
Yeah,
intercept?
please do.
Dr. Manoj Soni comes with a, kind of a background which can be associated with the right-wing politics that is ruling the country today. You said it is completely non-biased in terms of the commission's composition. Would you like to comment on that?
I would not like to, but I still, since you raised a question, let me mention that any person in the history of commission, whatever color and creed he was earlier, once he takes oath as a member or a chair of the commission, he becomes a part of the commission. And therefore, it is irrespective whether he comes a left wing or the right wing. He is sensitive to his responsibilities. He is sensitive to his to the nation, for which this commission has been built. And I have no doubt in my mind that a person like Dr. Soni, a brilliant scholar, will also be the same as have been the past chairman of any color or creed they were. So let me set once and for right that luckily for Government of India, through UPSC, the government has been careful to select people of capabilities. Whether they come from one source or the other, it is irrelevant. Idea has been to choose the best, who can do wonders, who can make changes appropriate to the need of the country as and when it arises. And therefore, I don't believe that any colors given to any person will impact as far as the commission is
Would
concerned.
a bureaucrat not be more suited, because you see most of the people who have donned the chair of the UPSC. So basically, I'm trying to keep this a little more interactive than because this is
Sure,
going to be
sure,
meant. This is going to be meant for students a lot,
sure.
because we have 50 lakh students all over the country, as you told me one day, and
Yeah.
then we have 10 lakh people who are preparing for the examination and willing to give the examination, and and they fill up the forms or something like that, and 6-7 lakh appear for the examination. This kind of magnitude of influx of and the sea of people, they would be listening to an interactive session, and they will be more interested. So my next question would be, as you said, bureaucrat, I mean, irrespective of caste, creed, color, religion, sex, etc., fine. But then bureaucrats would a bureaucrat who have been holding most of the majority of the chair positions for the last almost 70 years, 75 years, would a bureaucrat, ex-bureaucrat, not be better suited compared to a non-bureaucrat?
Uh, it's a very interesting question. Let me also mention to you that commission is enriched by experience of many. And Government of India has ensured that out of the members which the commission selects, unlike many other state commissions, it is enriched by academics, enriched by scientists, enriched by defense personnel, enriched by professionals, enriched by bureaucrats of all hue. It could be an IAS, it could be a postal department, it could be police, it could be foreign service. So when you look at the spectrum through which Government of India enriches the membership and the chair of the commission, it, it is expected, and I believe so, since they are the best people chosen, they contribute significantly in their own rights. It is interestingly that in case of when there has been academics at chair, they seems to have little more longer time than anybody else. For example, when in 75, Kidwai Sahib became chairman, Sahare Sahib became chairman over the same time. They were all, one was in academics, another was scientist. They were both for 5 years each. I was chairman for 5 years, 6 years, and I'm sure my very distinguished person today, which you mentioned, will also be 5 to 6 years.
Let me also tell the audience and the viewers that who are going to be watching this, that Dr. Agarwal is the longest serving. He had donned the chair for the longest duration, as far as my knowledge goes, as the chairman of the UPSC. So that itself answers the question. I think I'll say I answered myself. Anyways, now the next thing I would like you to tell me about is, as you said, the best people from across the country are selected, with an unbiased manner. Then this cadre thing, this cadre thing perplexes me a lot. You want this country to be governed in the best possible way. You select somebody from somebody from Tamil Nadu and post him in Uttar Pradesh. How does it work, sir?
It works beautifully. Let's imagine like this. You are a person, you are a nation, you are a national of this country. Youth aspiring to become a person of All India service. Take, for example, an IAS. And the commission declares a merit list of the selected candidates. As I said, is unbiased. It could be from anywhere. So therefore, imagine if somebody is number one, it is his first choice to choose whatever he wants. So he gets his first choice, and the first choice is only limited because out of every year, each state have a fixed number of vacancies. If there were large number of vacancies, for example, if you come from Telangana and there are 20 vacancies and all 20 were available, probably all 20 will go. But normally it doesn't happen. These are limited vacancies. People who are the first choice in the top rank get their own choices. But when they go to other states, they are going to the part of this country. They knew day one that they are not they are natives of Telangana, but they are first the natives of this great nation. And they come, even when they come to interview and discussion in the UPSC, they have faced questions which not only check them over their state, but they check over the history and culture of this country. They look at the science and development and economy of this nation. They become partner in terms of understanding and appreciating their role in developing this nation. And when nation develops, societies grow and also the state develop. So please don't try to look at, so vacancies are limited. For example, if I go to IIT and 600 people apply for 4 posts of mechanical engineering, the best 4 would be chosen. One could come from IIT Delhi, from person from Tamil Nadu, other come from Gujarat. So we've taken the best, and the only 4 were there. So there's no problem. In each of the candidates which come have contributed significantly. It is not that if he is not in Telangana, he doesn't work in Uttar Pradesh. There's not been a single example. I must say, All India services work beautifully. The other advantage is that they bind the country together. So if you are from Telangana or Assam and works in Uttar Pradesh, you bring a cross-cultural relationships of appreciating one culture vis-a-vis other. There's also freedom available that sometimes if there are compulsions needs, people can take what you call a secondment to their own states. So there's a lot of flexibility allowed them to operate when they are selected by UPSC. I must say,
Sir,
one of the beautiful arrangements.
sir, I'll take you now towards it. I'll just digress a little bit from
Yeah.
the mainstream discussions around bureaucrats to the preparation aspects. Now, this is where the students would be immensely interested in. I mean, there is a skewed distribution of students who qualify from this UPSC examination over the years. What do you think is attributable to this skewed kind of a success distribution that we have seen over the last few years, so many years?
No, I don't greatly appreciate the term you use, skewed. There's no skewness. Let's look at what we're looking. In 75, 76, after Kothari report, it was decided that there would be one common exam for any aspiring candidate who has graduated in any of the subject from the university of this country. So with this basic tenet that all I need a graduate, whether it is humanities graduate, social science graduate, graduate, or as far as the degree is concerned. Number one. So as per the rule, any youth who is in the final year or age of 21 can apply if he is a graduate in this subject. Recognized degree by country. Now imagine the variety of the candidates who come. They have to face a common selection procedure, which must be based on the needs of the work which the candidates going to do. Now we are selecting bureaucrat, and a bureaucrat not must be informed of the subject itself, but he must know about the culture and aspect of the country. He must understand the basic developmental issues. He must understand the science technology utilization. He must understand, as current PM says, of the digital world and the use of digital for governance. He must have nuances to appreciate the needs and wants of the nation. And this examination is built towards these kinds of parameters. Now, for example, if he is an engineer, where sometimes people try to paint a picture that it is the professional people who are more now coming exam. Please appreciate today's more governance is based on utilization of technology to the maximum advantage. And we are going to era of AI and whatnot, where many things are happening. So maybe it's a boon in disguise that some of the professional people decided to become part of a administrative governance procedure. Let me also appreciate this point that even in industry, most of the governing positions, the top positions, are taken by people who are multi-skilled, who can appreciate technology, and who can think afresh. Now that is what we look into this examination. What do we do? If you look at the first prelim exam, and since you said large number of people apply, it applies because of a social change it brings in, a person's perspective once he selects. For example, if you come from a village background, you are selected to the top elite job of the country, the IS, and you are only selected when you are the best. So he tried to bring in those nuances, those understanding of the hinterland into its appreciation of the aspects. So please therefore appreciate it is neither skewed nor any bias towards. It is the needs of the posts that we conduct that exam in that. One, that he must be fairly broadly aware of the needs of a bureaucratic world, needs of the country, aware about the country's relation, and therefore he must pass those kind of examination.
Yes, sir.
Now, you
Sir,
rightly said,
I'll again intercept now this.
yeah,
What you're talking about, and I recently was also watching a movie made on the subject called 12th Fail by Mr. Vidhu Vinod Chopra, which probably you've not seen, as you told me last
I have
a
not
few
seen
days
yet,
back.
not yet.
Not you've not yet seen.
Yeah.
And well, if you're telling me that these boys and girls who appear for this UPSC, they are selected with a thought in mind that they will be conversant or well aware of the nitty-gritties and the nuances and the on-the-ground realities of this nation. And is it really practically possible for somebody who had a kind of a, wonderful, very, kind of smooth sailing life going towards going to an IIT or an IIM straight away, straight from college, and then straight away landing as because of his academic brilliance and the coaching infrastructure in some places and which they can afford probably, and they land up with an academic brilliance with a top score in the prelims and the mains. Do you think that they really would be able to justify your kind of mandate of these students being selected based on the background that they have some idea about the realities of India, or would somebody who comes from these small towns or villages of Bihar would be better equipped to handle that?
I think each candidate who has been selected has been judged, and I can say with confidence, each of them are aware of the nuances of this country. I can say with lots of confidence. Number one. Number two, that even in the prelim, if you look at the whole question papers and the way they respond, each of them are subjected to that kind of understanding. As I mentioned to you, nobody will go without being understanding history, culture, and development of this nation. And this accounts for everything how the country has grown. They are not only aware of the technology, which some of the IITians may be very good, but they must also appreciate the cultural milieu and how culture has imbibed in itself in development of this nation. If you pick up any question paper, whether prelim or the main, it is not straightforward done. It is one which you can think out of box, which he appreciates the needs, only can do it. So please don't, whatever Mr. Vidhu Vinod Chandra must have said, I can reassure you that each candidate selected is a true representative of a youth aspiring to do something in this nation, and he has nuances properly placed in their minds, in their hearts. And the examination ensures that.
There was a lot of clamor in that movie, though it is very much drawn from practical, shades of life that people in Mukherjee Nagar and the Karol Bags and Rajendra Nagars of Delhi, do face when they come from their remote places. It's a uphill task. It's swimming against the tide to compete with the top IITians and the IIM graduates, people from top universities, top cities. They all come and they attend the same coaching, the same course curriculum. And this boy who probably had a BA in arts, a BA in some particular subject from Patna University, I mean, how do you think he's going to be able to compete practically? And what are the chances, as they showed in the movie also? I mean, some 10 to 25 out of say 2 lakh qualify. I mean, that is how it spans out over the examination process. How do you think it justifies the career and future and the future of the families of these poor people who come all the way dreaming of a IAS Lal Batti, you know?
No, firstly, Lal Batti is not an issue today. That's number one. Number two, films many a time fictionalize many things, including his own picture, Three Idiots. So let's not look at that aspect. Look at the different.
Sir, Lal Batti is not there as per the MHA circular, but then that is exactly the reason why, I mean, even, you know, if you go inside and when we see on the roads, you still find, I mean, half the, I mean, cars have, you know, flaunting that Lal Batti or that blue Batti,
I
you know,
think it
whatever.
must be a reflection because they were permitted. So people thought it is important, but please appreciate these young boys and girls with a lot of dreams in their minds. And they try to contribute. Now let's come in touch whether it is tailored about one particular area. Let me give some example. Some years ago, I met a young boy who was in highest top list, was only Telugu school teacher. Please understand. Now this examination is not designed along with one degree examination. Even if you come from engineering background, there's even not a paper in computer science. There's not paper in material science. Engineering is not only mechanical, civil, and electrical, which three papers are there. So it's a common ground. Paper 1 and 2, which is prelim, it is irrespective of the degree you come from. Now, if you're an IIT student, a bright student, after all, who comes to IIT? Only boy or a girl who has worked very hard throughout their lives, who can take up challenges, and they are not always from cities. Please understand the crowd in IITs are a true representative of this nation. They come from Bihar, they come from Uttar Pradesh, they come from Tamil Nadu, they come from Karnataka. So they come from everywhere. They not all come from DPS. They all come from school children, from village backgrounds. I've seen children, I remember when I used to professor in IIT, there was a boy from Faridabad who went to central school. And if you find out the number of school and boys and girls gone to good schools and the number of schools coming to IITs, so IIT is a true representative. Similarly, those who want to achieve their dreams, and civil service is one of the dreams, the boys and girls work very hard. Yourself, the gentleman sitting and talking to you, come from a village background, educated in Hindi medium, in a deep village of Uttar Pradesh, and could rise, it can only happen in this country. I was not an IITian but an engineer, taught in IIT, and came into the whole administration. Did make all changes. So this country provides everybody an opportunity, one who is bright, and one who has his heart at the right place, and who has something to do to improve the goodness among this country. And I can assure you, there might be one or two exceptions which can always happen in any part of the life. After all, society is built of all kind of characters. But it's a fact that these boys and girls are coming to do something for the nation. That's their dream. Obviously, vacancies are limited, takers are many. Challenge is very high. As you rightly said, 11 to 12 lakh people apply, 6 lakh actually appear. Out of the preliminary exam, 15 times the number of vacancies as declared in the UPSC's Gazette notification. Luckily in UPSC is that there's nothing hidden. There's no back agenda. Every post is declared, every ratio is given, syllabi is given, curriculum is given. Past question paper is known. So there's nothing which is hidden in UPSC. It's an open ground to everybody. And therefore, I must say, let me set this for all. It's a competition because different kind of graduate try to solve a similar kind of question paper on equal ground. Paper 1 and 2 of prelim, the same standing. In paper main exam, where 15 times the number of vacancy candidates appear with proper reservations as applied to Government of India, there are language papers common to all, essay paper to common to all, 4 papers are again common. It's only one subject the candidate can choose. So there's no great advantage to be an IITian or anybody else. If an IITian can do taking history well, he can read. So anybody who can read anything and can satisfy commission's standards, he is selected. So I don't think
Sir,
there's an
100
exclusion.
people, sir, 1,000 people out of 6-7 lakh people. I mean, what happens to the rest?
Yeah, that's a story. That's very interesting point. And number of times, Government of India, in fact, UPSC did make an effort. When I was chairman, I still remember we had discussed this issue. That these are very bright people, the top 15,000, and at least those who are after qualifying prelim and main, they become 2,500 or roughly 3,000. They are they're almost the similar, almost the same. It's on that day that in a personality test, where personality would mean that you built up over the years and you have some new thinking which can allow you to become a better bureaucrat. So some of the characteristics of honesty, new thinking, your approach, your handling problem, listening capabilities, compassion, all that which commission looks into, that out of this 2.5, one is rejected. So our belief was that any system who want to select on all India basis, some of these can be directly invited for the interview level. This has been our suggestion number of times. There may be nuances that certain posts may require a different kind of entity. But for example, if IIT select a faculty, none of them would be eligible. So if there are common vacancies where general appreciation is required, definitely we would. To even control this, what Commission has done at one time, that we have joined in preliminary level the forest service as well as the civil service. So at least one exam made common. We have tried to improve these situations. But yes, I agree with you. Many of them are exceptionally bright, at least in 2.5.
At the
And they
same
can do
time,
it.
it's a dearth of officers that we talk about. We have a huge dearth of officers across the country. So why not increase the number of seats?
Yeah, that's up to the government. You remember when I was chairman, the vacancies for IAS from as low as 35 to become 200. Because slowly government realized that there is a dearth of people and they must be selected. Government did support and still supports that these top bureaucrats must come through UPSC. Even if you remember, the direct recruits which the government has now uh, taken call has still given to UPSC. So government want to ensure that the unbiased selection occurs depending on the needs of the post and vacancies. Now, this new issue of governance have changed. If you notice in the last 10 years, and you said because of a stable government, economy is growing. And for the economic growth, the kind of leadership at governance level is require a very different kind of knowledge base. And therefore, probably government recognize that maybe through PSC they are not coming. So why not bring people as and when they are required? But this is also not new. Probably you don't know that at one time I did go to the government of India from education to work as joint secretary in between joint secretary and election secretary as an advisor to government of India. So this used to be a tradition in government to take people from field as and when the people are required and rely on governance on the stable service which the UPSC provides. So it's a very good model. But if I say, for example, completely change to new governance mechanism where I need AI, I need computing, then I'm only selecting engineers. So those nuances which are required in a human characteristics, I'll completely miss.
What about, as you rightly said, people who clear the prelims? I mean, and then the mains. I mean, 3,000 cleared the mains also, and they go. I mean, don't you think that finally when 1,000 are selected, I mean, how many people clear prelims every year?
So the rules are specified in the commission notification. If I remember, I'm not exactly sure what is today. In my time, there used to be about 15 times the number of vacancies. And in that, all reservations would apply. And then it's also mentioned in the Gazette notification that after the main exam, roughly about 2.5 to 3 times would be invited for percentage discussion. I mean, that used to be a broad number. Commission does not decide. This is fixed as far as through the government and the notification. So everybody knows this.
uh, you know, uh, that brings me to another issue before, I mean, we are reaching towards the end of the discussion. I mean, reservations. I mean, how relevant are reservations in this entire game? If you make that decision.
Now, reservation is as per the government of India policy. Commission has no say in it. Commission try to find out best in the reserve categories. But you also must recognize that in the policy itself inbuilt, that the kind of people we select are really, really good, irrespective of the caste in creed, they come a reservation. In fact, many of them do utilize. Firstly, there's a misnomer. The general vacancies are meant for some caste. General vacancies are called merit seats or general seats. So anybody who comes in the top merit, irrespective of the caste, takes those. So it's a government of India policy. Till government of India continues with reservation, commission will continue. So commission say in reservation, follow the government of India policy.
What about your views on with such a robust mechanism of selection, and then we have somebody like Shah Faisal topping the examination, and then we all know what he did. What are your views, and what do you think could be attributable to such examples?
See, it happens in all fields of life. If I get the best of the faculty in IIT, one of them may not, one of them for a while might get, derailed. So one example should not, one could look at those issues in which probably such situations occur, but they must all be trained to face any new challenge which come. I would rate one or two cases which require a lot of big change in the system. I am quite aware that the training time create a lot of camaraderie in the candidates. So maybe some person is missed at that time. So that camaraderie is missed. If there's a camaraderie, then he can talk to each other. At this time, we require more talking. So there's no color. I don't think once you decide to become part of the government of India, you have to follow the norms laid out and the service conduct laid out. Nobody stops you to resign and go. It can always happen. For example, there are people in various fields. They don't like that subject, they move off. I've seen in academics.
There are, as you said, yes, there are examples. So, in the kind of setup and the kind of socio-economic and political ecosystem that we operate, there are the Durga Shakti Nagpals and the Ashok Khemkas also who come out. And they are very well known for being transferred at the drop of a hat. Whereas there are officers who continue as a smooth sailing because of the sycophancy and the subservience to the political masters that they probably get trained for during the course of their LVSSA training, or probably during the course of their training in the lower level, at the lower levels, when they start off as SDOs and DMs and all that. So they realize very soon that the world is not ideal place for idealism, and henceforth they start flowing with the tide. So how do you think that the examples of Mr. Khemka and Nagpal kind of examples can really make a difference to the new class, a new breed of officers? Because I don't really see so many resignations.
Since today's discussion has been demystifying UPSC, and as a chairman, I've spoken about that. Now, the question which you put up, it's not UPSC's area. Neither the service allocation nor the behavior of people in the service, nor how they are transferred, commission is not consulted. The only time commission is consulted is when there are charges against somebody in the name of the President of India, if the penalty is to imposed. At that time, commission comes in. Commission has been successful in looking such cases and come up with appropriate recommendation. At this stage, that's all I can say on such issues, without commenting on the
views?
quality either of transfer or of the individual.
Absolutely, I appreciate your stand. Now, what are your views on the coaching industry?
As I mentioned already to you, the UPSC examination is not designed to one particular degree. Since the syllabi and curriculum is very different, people who have not been in the habit of reading as they grow in their lives, they require the material to read from anywhere. Now, whether it is provided by coaching standards or in the libraries or through internet, each candidate wants that information. I won't say either yes or no, either way. I used to have an opinion, and still I still hold, that those who are bright would do better because they know how to get information and transfer them into knowledge. Some of those who has not been really good in their studies require hand holding, and that's where the coaching has come in. And probably why commission? Please look at in this country, there's been a parallel education. And that could be another day we discuss that. Maybe if on your program, if there are people discussing that issue, I'm willing to talk on that. There is a parallel education in this country. We must accept.
Last 10 years, social media has been, kind of a inseparable part of our lives. Do you, as UPSC, I understand you retired in 2014 from that post, but even if I request you to let us know, does the UPSC take into account the analysis and the assessment of the social media content and profiles of these candidates?
Not really. Not really. We have the information they provide. After all, what these people are doing, they only analyze after the selections are over.
Who?
The so-called what you said media and the films you are now seeing.
No, no. What I'm trying to say, sir, is as assessment of this. Probably I understood the answer wrong, or probably you understood it the question wrong. My question is the social media profile, comments, and the content of these candidates also, kind of assessed and vouched as a part of their, post mains or interview selection process? Because you see, the other side of the candidate could be found out from, where people are attending mock interviews and all. They are being trained like a robot, and everything is fine. They cleared the mains examination. They're best of mind in the country. So they are very sharp people, very smart people. But you see the candidate side could be something which could be analyzed from the social media profiles. If not, I would suggest the social media angle to be also probed into of these candidates, so that there could be betterment in terms of the selection of the candidates. What are your views on that?
Either I'm not following your question. What do you mean by profile of the candidates? Now, UPSC.
The kind of comments, the kind of interactions, the kind of activities he or she is indulging on the social media reflects the personality quite a bit. So,
please understand, when they come for personality test, commission very carefully interacts with them. And the boards which are sitting there are fairly senior people. They understand all these nuances. And when they question and talk to them, they can easily understand what metal this person is made, whether what does he do in his life, the way he reacts, the way through names, they can make out what kind of character he is. I assure you that these are very, very intelligent people who sits in that board and they apply their full knowledge in mind. I'm quite sure they are aware with who candidate come and what information they have. And it is not yet found that they've selected a wrong person.
Does the chairman have a veto power in the final selection?
Commission has never had powers, no veto power to anybody.
During the interview process, because as we were shown in the movie, I mean, the chairman was against the candidate quite a bit, but then at the end of the day, there was subjective analysis and subjective approval in his favor, and he got the nod.
Commission's rules are clear. Commission rules are clear and published. There is no veto with anybody. Chairman has no powers. Chairman of any board has no veto. It's only a question of discussion. In discussion time, people must appreciate that somebody has to moderate. That's it. So whatever people fictionalize, I think they are trying to create unnecessarily pressures on people's mind. Commission has been completely unbiased, not colored by individual views. I can assure you that.
Sir, finally, three important points of suggestion for cracking the UPSC for the student.
Not cracking. There's no cracker and there's no whip. As he said, we only select a candidate who is bright, good, efficient, and honest. And for it, he has to work hard. He must know his country. He must really, really work very hard to come up to the marks. And nothing else. In the interview process, what basically are the three areas that you want people not to, three strict no's for a candidate, because that would be a complete put off from the selection perspective. Never try to influence board. Never. Never try to tell lies. And never behave what you are not. Thank you, sir. Brilliant answer. I think it comes from somebody who nobody better than him to answer what not to do in the final examination, in the interview. So boys and girls, there are many things you could do, but please do not do these things. I'm sure 50% of the battle will be won. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Namaskar. Namaskar. Thank you.